Hi guys, I'm Dr. Tara Tobias. I want to welcome you all back to this channel. So as promised, I'm starting a series this week on circumduction. So a lot of you guys have asked for some exercises on how to help you with this issue or this movement problem. So in today's video, I'm going to go over what that is and then start providing some exercises on how to correct that based on what's causing you to do this kind of gait deviation that we call circumduction. And then the reason it looks a little different right now is because I'm in editing mode and this video was getting extremely long. So in the post-production process, I decided to break this up into two sections. In this video, we are going to go over, as I stated, what circumduction is, and then just the first couple of solutions that I think might help you. And then in next week's video, I'm going to finish with probably what I would consider some higher level activities, as well as some solutions or modifications that you can make to help you eliminate or start to eliminate this kind of sort of compensatory strategy that happens after any type of damage to your brain or spinal cord. So enough about that. Now I'm going to switch over to the actual video. In today's tutorial, we are going to talk about a walking deviation or a walking problem referred to as circumduction. So I've mentioned it in a few other videos as a potential gait problem that can happen due to certain movement problems, but now I'm going to reverse that explanation a little bit, talk about what circumduction is, what some of those movement problems are that causes it, and hopefully teach you some exercises that you haven't seen in some of my other videos to help you minimize or eliminate this circumduction gait deviation or walking problem. But before we dive into that, if you're new to this channel and you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload new videos. Now, just a little side note, almost 60% of the views that I get on this channel are from people that are not subscribed. So if you've been watching for a while, it really helps me out and it really helps the visibility of this channel out. So if you're finding value in this channel and getting a lot out of these videos, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button to help these videos to reach more people. But enough about that, let's dive into the topic of today's video. So first of all, circumduction. Circumduction is when you swing your leg around to the side. And what I'm also going to include in this gait deviation or this walking deviation or walking abnormality is you lean your trunk away from your involved leg or the leg that's affected by your neurologic damage, whether that's from MS or a stroke or a brain injury. You lean your trunk away from the side that has been affected by that, and you swing your leg around the side. Versus what is normal walking, where you bend the knee and you bring the leg straight through. So if I was to put a video camera on you from the front, I would only see the front of your thigh. Your leg would stay under your body the entire time. Versus your body swinging out to the side and not being underneath your body when you swing it through. Now, if you have this problem, there's a variety of things that can cause it. So I'm going to go through each one, and then what I'm going to try and do is give you a few exercises for each one of these possible causes of your circumduction. So the most common reason that someone will swing their leg around the side is because they can't bend the knee. So if you're someone that you can't bend your knee, or you've watched some of my videos on a stiff leg, or maybe you've been told you have spasticity in your leg that's making it challenging for you to bend your knee, all of those would become problematic when you go to take a step, because you need to bend the knee. What that does is shortens the leg. So when you bend the knee, you're taking a long stick and you're bending it in half. It's shortening that stick so that you can clear the ground when you bring it through. If you can't do that, what you're going to do is you're going to swing this long stick around the side. So a stiff leg, spasticity in your quadriceps, all reasons why that leg would stay straight, not shorten by bending the knee to be able to clear the ground. You compensate by swinging it around the side. Another thing that might cause you to swing your leg around the side, anytime you swing your leg around the side, that is a compensation because you can't clear the floor. So if you think about it, your legs are the same length. In order to swing that leg through, you need to shorten the swinging leg so that it'll clear the ground. Anything that keeps that leg long or longer than your other leg will cause that leg to get stuck on the ground. Therefore, you will compensate with swinging it around. So anything that keeps that leg long. So that leads me into the next root cause, which could be the inability to lift your foot. So if you have a true drop foot, meaning a floppy foot, that's different from spasticity. I've made a ton of videos on that, and I talk about it in just about every video because I'm super passionate about it, because everyone thinks they have a drop foot when really they have spasticity. But right now I'm talking about a true drop foot. If you have a floppy foot, that means when you go to try and lift your leg up to swing it through and clear the ground, the foot's gonna flop down, and therefore sometimes you might swing your leg around the side in order to not catch your toe on the ground, or on unfamiliar terrain. You might just automatically do that just as a preventative measure to make sure that you don't fall. It's like a safety mechanism. So floppy foot, drop foot, another reason why you might be swinging your leg around the side. I'm going to go into some solutions for that in the next section. Another thing that might cause this is a poorly adjusted AFO. So a lot of people after a stroke or a brain injury, and even in some cases MS, if you have a weak ankle or if you have spasticity in your ankle, you are put in a brace. If that brace is set in plantar flexion, because of the range of motion in your ankle, it needs to be set in a little bit of pointing. That makes that leg longer. Like I talked about earlier, you're not going to be able to clear the ground when you swing that leg through. So another reason why you might swing the leg around the side. Another thing is the wrong brace. If you're wearing a brace for foot drop and you have spasticity, it is not going to stop your foot from pointing. Most braces that are designed for a true drop foot, meaning a floppy foot, are not designed to keep the foot flexed up. And when you go to lift that leg up, you're going to point inside that brace, or you're actually going to point your foot out of the brace. So the foot and ankle is actually going to a small degree, come out of the brace, which you might not notice because you have a shoe on your foot. But there's a critical strap that's on a brace for someone with spasticity to keep your foot in that brace. So when you have that spastic moment where your foot wants to point, it can't come out of the brace. If you don't have that strap, which I'll get into later, your foot's gonna point and the foot's gonna come out of the brace, lengthening that leg, which might be why you swing the leg around the side. Another thing when it comes to bracing is if you do have a brace that's pointed, if no one builds up your other shoe, or your orthotist does not build up your other shoe to accommodate for that pointed position, then that pointed brace leg, your involved leg that is now slightly pointed because you don't have the range to get it to a 90-degree angle, will cause that leg to be longer. Again, another reason why you might swing that leg around the side. The other reason is, which I've mentioned in a ton of videos, different from foot drop, is spasticity in the ankle. So spasticity is an involuntary pointing of the foot. If you have spasticity in the muscles that point the foot, which is that involuntary contraction that makes the foot point down. A lot of times when someone stands on the leg, it triggers a spasm, and so that foot will point down when you try and swing it through, makes that leg longer, unable to clear the ground, you'll swing that leg around the side. And then the final reason that I can think of right now, if I think of more, I'll just make another video. But the final reason I can think of is if you just have a poor connection with the muscles that need to coordinate to lift the leg and bend the knee. So a poor brain connection with those muscles, then that would be another reason why you might swing the leg around the side. If you think about it, if you can't bend the knee and lift the hip due to weakness, then the way to accommodate for that or to adjust for that is just to tip your body away or tip your body to the side and just swing that leg around the side. So if you fit into any of those categories, I'm sure you will find at least one exercise that you'll be able to do when I get into what I'm going to talk about now, which is what are the solutions to some of these root cause problems to circumduction or swinging the leg around the side. So first and foremost, if you have a stiff leg, now I've done a ton of videos on a stiff spastic leg, and I've done one even recently, it was either last week or the week before, on involuntary contraction of the quadriceps, which makes that leg lock out. If that is your issue, or your therapist has told you that that's your issue, or your doctor's told you that's your issue, then you need to work on bending the knee. So I recently just did a video on the most basic exercise you can do to bend the knee, and that's where I would start. So laying back and putting a weight on your leg and just learning how to relax or stop that involuntary contraction of the quadricep muscles by using gravity to just let the leg fall. Once you get really good at that, you can progress that by doing what I called reversals in that video, where you just straighten the leg out and then let it bend. Now that is the real problematic area. Some of you might say, well, I can do that first exercise. I can bend my knee, gravity, it'll relax. I can use gravity to bend my knee and everything's fine. But there's a difference when you go from contracting the muscle to then relaxing it. Once you contract the muscle, that spasticity a lot of times will kick in, especially in standing, and then that makes it impossible to bend the knee. So that's why I recommend practicing these like reversals, where you work the quadricep, you contract it, and then you try and relax. That's a lot harder than the first exercise where you're using gravity and just learning how to relax. Being able to go from contracted to relaxing is a lot harder. So if you have a stiff leg and you're swinging your leg around the side, those are the exercises I recommend. Now, to further that, the next exercise I would do to bend the knee is to lay on your stomach and use assistance. So I love these bungee bands. Most people, if they have a stiff leg or if they have spasticity in their quadricep muscles, it is near impossible on your stomach to bend your knee. So I like these bungee bands. I will put a link for these bungee cords with this waist belt in the description below. But laying on your stomach and just using active assistance to relearn how to bend that knee. Now remember, the trick is most people want to work harder when they are in this position to try and bend the knee. That a lot of times will make the quadricep muscle kick in more. So the trick to this one is to really make sure you use like half effort. That's why you use the bungee, so you're not working too hard and facilitating that involuntary contraction of your quadricep muscles. So if there's anything I would say to think about when you're in this position, it would be to work less. Let the bungee do a little bit of the work and you do a little bit of the work. And I think you'll find that you'll get a lot further with that exercise. And then to carry that over into standing, same thing with the bungee. So use that bungee cord to help bring your leg up to the back. The reason I say bring your heel up to the back or bring your leg up to the back is a lot of times people want to bring that knee forward to bend the knee, and that would be a problem when you get to walking, because that's technically not the walking cycle. So usually we bend the knee first and then we bring the knee forward or bring the leg forward. And if you get those two going on at the same time, if the knee, most of the time, the leg will want to come forward before the knee bends, so that leg is still long. And if you're someone that's just a fast mover, in my experience, this is what I found. If you're someone that just is a fast mover or has a lot going on during the day and just wants to get to their destination, you'll learn really quick how to just swing that leg around the side as soon as you feel that that leg is too long. For instance, the knee didn't bend fast enough, you'll just start getting into the habit of swinging that leg around the side. So really work on isolating this knee bending. Start with the bungee, take the bungee away. Another way you can work on this, and someone actually, the only reason I'm including it is because someone just commented on another video that this is the exercise that helped them with their stiff leg, are step downs. So what you're learning is you're basically learning how to move your body weight forward and bend that knee at the same time. So a step down is almost the same thing as a step forward, only gravity and your body weight is actually helping you to feel what that feels like to let the knee bend, because it's on that back step without bringing the leg forward. So step downs, really learning how to feel that knee bending before you bring the leg forward is a really valuable exercise. And then I love this one just for fun. Just keep working on getting that knee bent further and further back. The more that you can bend that knee and just get that quadricep to relax, the easier that's going to be to carry over into walking. So start with like a 4-inch or a 6-inch step, move to an 8-inch step, 12-inch step, 18-inch step. Just keep bending that knee back further and further. Now, the trick is make sure your knee's not going out to the side, because that's really very similar to circumduction, even though your knee is bent. If you have a tendency to want to hike that hip up or swing that knee out to the side when you really get it bent, that is most likely what's going to happen if you're someone that's already circumducting. So those would be the things that I would focus on when you're doing this exercise, is not letting that knee go out to the side and not hiking that hip up. So keeping the hips level, use a mirror if you need to, and not letting the knee go out to the side. So that would be for anyone that has a stiff leg, that circumducts. That is the progression that I would work on. So I hope all of that made sense. As I stated at the beginning, this is part 1 in a 2-part series. I really want you guys to work on some of the exercises that we went over today. And then in next week's video, I am going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into bracing, some of the modifications that you can make with that, as well as go into some strategies to help relearn how to bring the leg forward and bend the knee. So I think it's going to be hugely valuable. I hope you guys can work on these exercises this week and tune in next week for these, what I'm calling higher level exercises. And once again, if you're new to this channel and you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so that you'll get notified every time I upload new videos. As usual, give this video a thumbs up if you're dealing with circumduction, you found these exercises helpful. Comment below, maybe there's some things you're doing that I haven't mentioned yet. I would love to hear and learn from all of you and some of the things that you might have tried that have worked for you. And then I can't stress this enough. If you watch this video all the way to the end, you have the right attitude, you have the motivation, you have the desire to help yourself, which I think is probably more, and I'm sure some scholars out there or some real scientists would disagree with me on this, but I think your attitude and your desire to want to get better is equally as important, if not more important, than the actual physical damage to your neurologic system. And again, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of scientists out there that if they saw this, they would probably disagree with that. But based on my experience I 1000 think it's 90% mental and 10% physical. I see it every day. I see people with the right desire and the right motivation go far beyond what any doctor told them they would do. So long story short, you're in the right headspace, so keep it up. I'm rooting for you. This entire community is rooting for you. And I know you can be at least 1% better tomorrow than you were today just by taking action. So I enjoyed spending time with y'all today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a good day.